evening, wherever you are calling. Yeah, for anyone, if that is convenient and if you can allow your video or your camera to be on, that will help us a lot as we are exchanging. We are going to have the next hour to exchange our thoughts and know some of our perspectives on emotional intelligence. So if you can have your video on, that will really be cool. And we have probably a few more minutes to go, and I continue to admit participants into the meeting room. So just give us a few more minutes. Thanks, Carlos, for doing that. Awesome. Shalini, thank you. Thank you, Peter.
Hi.
Hello. It's always nice to see some faces and put that to the names.
Yeah,
so thanks for doing
true.
that.
Otherwise, it's like talking to the screen.
Yes, thank you.
We've all been doing that.
Sorry?
I said we've all been doing that for several months now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I know sometimes the bandwidth does not support. So for those of you who can allow that to happen, that will be nice. Hello, Helen. Hello, Dariana.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you, Barbara.
Nice to see you too.
Cool.
Hi,
Thanks
Barbara.
for joining us.
Hi.
So is that Friday for most of us, if not all of us? Yeah,
Yep.
I guess so, yeah. Cool. So thanks for making time, especially for those who are here in this region or in this time zone. It is now getting into Friday evening. And it probably takes a lot of energy and courage to sign up for the session on a Friday evening. Thank you for doing that. Hello, Doris. Nice to see you. That is good morning in UK. Yeah. Hello. How do I pronounce your name, Evija? Is that the right way?
It's Evija.
Evija, hi.
Hi.
Nice to see you. And Evija, where are you calling in from?
I'm from Latvia.
Okay, Latvia. Cool. Awesome. And Connie, hi. And Connie is from? Yeah. I guess as much as I would like to address and say thank you to everybody, probably that time does not allow me to do that. So it's a big thank you to everyone who is joining us today. And I know either myself or Mia, also from Transcend, we will continue to admit people into the session. And first thing first, thank you and welcome. And second of all, which I think is equally important, have fun in the next 1 hour. If you think that you have some of your own perspectives that you would also like to share with us now on emotional intelligence, I think this is a good place and this is a right place for us to just talk about that, because nothing can be that wrong. And I think for the fact that we have all signed up for emotional intelligence sessions, that says that we do have something that probably could be adding value to the rest of the participants as well. So let us begin by just talking about emotional intelligence. I just would like to invite anyone who just like to share your views. And when you think about emotional intelligence, what comes into your mind? What are one or two things that comes into your mind when you think about emotional intelligence? Either go off mute or chat, and whatever way that you want to share your perspectives, that is fine. Yeah. What comes into your mind as you think about emotional intelligence?
Managing your own
Carlos?
emotions in a sort of, hello?
Yeah.
Managing one's own emotions in a positive way, potentially empathizing, communicating effectively, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So it's a lot about emotions, and it's also about, that leads to the next part of communicating as well. And I see a few of you putting in your chats, it's about awareness, it's about feeling, and equilibrium colors you mentioned about that. Can you tell us more about that? What do you mean by equilibrium? Yeah, cool. Okay. Let us just move on as we go on, and if there's anything else, just feel free. I know there are a few things that is popping up in the chats here as well. Internal and introspective approach, that is from Dariana, thank you. And it's about managing the flow of thoughts and emotions and communicating emotion to others. These are all various perspectives, how we are looking at emotional intelligence. And a few things that we can pick up here is really about emotions as what that one of the two words is in emotional intelligence. And it's also a lot about self and others. When we talk about communicating, when we talk about great relationship, Evia mentioned that. So that is all about us and all about others. So as in a nutshell, I would like us to start thinking about, it's about knowing, being aware of our emotions and being able to manage that. I'm happy to see that we do not have many who have come up with that word of controlling emotions, for example, or suppressing emotions. Is really not so much about that. It's really about managing that. And managing that, it is about making a conscious decision. Emotional intelligence is about using emotions intelligently to achieve the desired outcome, if that makes sense to us. If that does not make sense to you, just let me know, hey, Pei-yin, that is not what I'm thinking about emotional intelligence. Feel free to do that as well. So when we think about emotional intelligence, there is a part about self, begins with self-awareness. And of course, after knowing that part, being aware of what the other parties are having as well, what are their emotions, what kind of state of mind are they in, it is then about calibrating that. I like us to also start thinking about, it's more about calibration. It's really not about me changing myself or you changing yourself so that we can be there. It is about calibrating so that I know my emotions now. I see where you are in the emotional state of mind, and therefore we bring that together. And so with that, I just like us to get into an activity. I try to make it as interactive as possible so that we can also write on some of our experiences to really feel that that thing is fluffy, emotional intelligence. Let's also be honest with that. It's very fluffy. How do we feel that? How do we sense that? What exactly is emotional intelligence? So if you have a pen and a paper and yourself prepared to have fun, that is all we need for the next 55 minutes, yeah? A paper and a pen. So let us think about your own emotional intelligence experience. I would just like to invite you to raise your hands, either that virtual hand or our physical hand, if you have worked with a great boss before. We might have worked with different bosses before. Yes, I have. Yes, some of us have. Hopefully many of us, if not all. Yeah. So we have worked with a great boss, a boss whom, when we think about that person, no, I might have a very big smile on my face when I think of that person, whether it is still someone I'm working with now or someone I worked with before. So I just like you to have that great boss in your mind for a moment and have your paper and your pen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a few emotional intelligence behaviors, let's call it that way. And I would like you to think about this person, the great boss, the best boss ever, that you say, no, if I can work for this person for the rest of my life, that is that boss that I want to work with. So I'm going to share with you a few emotional intelligence behaviors. What I like you to do is, when I share that behavior, you think about this great boss of yours and you think about a scale from 1 to 5. I'm going to share my screen if you don't mind. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is there's a scale here from 1 to 5. When you think about that great boss and when that behavior is mentioned, think about this person. If this person demonstrates the behavior, whatever that is going to be shown to you, if this person demonstrates this significantly more than others, you are going to give this person a rating of 5. So the scale goes from 1 to 5. Significantly much less than others, probably just a 1. If you say this boss of mine has never done this before, I'm going to give a -3 or -5, do that. Yeah. But whatever it is, the scale is from 1 to 5. So the first behavior that you are going to think about when you think about this great boss is this person demonstrates awareness of their mood and emotions, or his moods or emotions, his or her moods and emotions. So what this means is think about that in a meeting, even for ourselves. Sometimes when we feel that it is getting to that limit, and I say, I'm aware that my mood is changing. I'm aware that my emotions are changing. And therefore, I think this is not going to be productive for me anymore if I stay longer in this meeting. Therefore, I am just going to get out of this meeting room. And I want to do that. I'm going to come back. Yeah, so if I do that, that shows that I demonstrate awareness of my mood and emotion. So think of your great boss and give a rating between 1 to 5. Okay. The second behavior, quite straightforward. Make others feel appreciated. When you work with this great boss, do you feel appreciated or not? Has this person ever said thank you, for example, just as one of the gesture to say thank you to you for good and great things done or not? So significantly more than others, 5. Not so much less than others, 1. So the scale 1 to 5. So you have a second rating here. The third rating, the third behavior is about open and honest about mistakes. So when this person makes mistake, has this person ever said, I'm sorry, I messed up? And I think as a team, even though that person is a boss, being a leader, has that person ever stepped forward and said, sorry, I made a mistake. I think I messed it up. And so we are going to do that all over again. So again, between 1 to 5, you are going to give another rating. So you have 3 numbers by now. The fourth behavior is makes ethical decisions. So when we talk about making ethical decisions, this is about sometimes it is uncomfortable. But being a leader, being a boss, even though it is uncomfortable, it might be the right thing to do. So if that person does that, that is a 5 that you might want to give if that person does it significantly more than others. Otherwise, on the other side of the spectrum would be a 1. Manages their emotions effectively in difficult situations. When you bring bad news or less pleasant news to this person, does this person always lose temper, or is this person able to control or manage the emotions, even in very difficult situations? Think about the situation that we are in now. I know many of us are under a lot of pressure in that corporate environment to have to meet budget, to have to still deliver a lot when the external environment is very challenging. So the great boss manages their emotions effectively in difficult situations between a 1 to 5. How would you rate that person? And the final behavior here is about helping to create a positive work environment. Yeah. So when you think about this person in terms of creating a positive work environment, would you say this person is a 1 out of 5 or 5 out of 5? Yeah. So if that instruction or if that mathematic works out well, we should have something that goes between 6 to 5:30. Yeah, 6 to 30, a total. Sum up your scores. So you have 6 different ratings for the 6 behaviors. Sum up your scores, and we should have something that is between 6 to 30. So put that aside. And I still want you to focus on the great boss. And what you will do now is think of how this person make you feel. We now get into feeling, and we now get into that emotions, because however that person show up, whether we like it or not, whether we love it or not, there could be something that this person, in one way or another, this person has made me feel. So consider how you felt around this person, or how you are feeling around this person if you are still working together. I just want you on that same piece of paper again to write down some of the feelings or emotions that comes into your mind when you think about this person. Did this person make you feel you are not being valued? Did this person make you feel frustrated? Did this person make you feel disappointed? Whatever that is.
Banyak orang kete aja. Aku diundang karena mereka tahu aku.
So just write down a few words to describe the feelings and emotions of how this person makes you feel. Yeah, so this is still about the great boss. That when you think of this person, you are always having a big smile on your face. The next thing, still on your great boss, I'd like you to think about the discretionary effort. How much or what kind of discretionary effort were you motivated to give this person? Yeah. So when we talk about discretionary effort, we are referring to going the extra mile. So it is really going, it is about the willingness and the commitment to want to do more, just more than and beyond the minimum level. So it is not about you ask me to do that and therefore I do that, but it is about me wanting to do that. I just want to stay longer hours in the office because I love to. I just want to do this thing better because I want to, because I just feel so great. Yeah. So the discretionary effort, if you were to think about your experience when you work with this great boss, 1 to 10, hardly motivated at all, that is 1, 2, 3. No, if you ask me to do this, I will do this. If you ask me to do 3 steps and deliver 3 steps, this is all I will do. I will not do more than that. But if you say, no, I was really highly motivated, even though my boss said it was okay, I was always striving for better because I just wanted to. So that is on the other side of the spectrum. You will then give a 8, 9, 10, whatever that is for you. So by now, what you have explored is your experience with your great boss in terms of the behaviors, how much they show up in the behaviors that we have gone through, the 6 behaviors, and the feelings and emotions that you had when you work with this person. And when you work with this person, what is that extra mile that you are willing to give because of the feeling that you have working with this person? So just a quick pulse check here. I am just going to pause this for a while, and I'm going to see all faces here. Are we good up to now? Cool. Thank you. And so the next part of that, we are going to go a bit quicker, and I'm going to share that again. Allow me to do that. Cool. So unfortunately for some of us, we might have also worked with some very challenging bosses. Yeah. So if you have in your mind someone whom you define as difficult or challenging boss or bosses, now switch that to this person, think about this person, and we are going to go through the same exercise, but now with the focus on the difficult boss. I know for some of us, that means the smile on our faces will be gone at least for a while when we think about this, because a different picture or a different impression might emerge as we think about this person. Yeah. So the same thing on the other half side of your paper, you may just want to do a rating for this difficult boss. Think about this difficult or challenging boss that you had or you have.
Doesn't it say it on a sticker on it?
In terms of demonstrating awareness of mood and emotions,
I don't know.
one being
I literally haven't logged onto
significantly
that laptop
less.
for a year. I don't know what my username is.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just going to mute some of you if you don't mind. And if you want to share, feel free to unmute yourself. And in terms of demonstrating awareness of moods and emotions, think about the difficult bosses between 1 to 5. You have a rating for this person. Makes others feel appreciated. So think about this person again, the difficult and challenging boss between 1 to 5. Is that a 1 or is that a 5? Did this person say thank you when you kind of think, I did a good thing for the team, I did a good thing for the company. Did that difficult boss make you feel appreciated? Open and honest about mistakes. Again, the same thing. Ever say sorry when he or she messed up something and just to step forward and say, I made a mistake, and as a team, we just have to do that together. We just have to clear the mess. So 1 to 5. Makes ethical decisions. So even if the situation is not comfortable, but if that is the right thing to do, does this person make ethical decisions or not? We all know that this is not an easy thing to do. Sometimes there are people who will just take the convenient way and say, no, it is uncomfortable for me. And therefore, even though I know it is right, I may not choose to do that. So again, it's between 1 to 5. Manages emotions effectively in difficult situations. So again, it's 1 to 5. You give a rating for your difficult boss. Helps create a positive work environment. So again, it's 1 to 5. So now on the other side of your paper, you have 6 ratings that you have given to your difficult boss in terms of the behaviors. And again, the same thing, sum up your scores. Yeah. And the focus now is still on the difficult boss or challenging boss. Think about how this person made you feel when you were working or when you are working around this person, and write down some of the feelings. If you say, yeah, I felt so motivated, motivated is the word. If you say, yeah, I felt so empowered, empowered is the word. If you say, yeah, super yeah, I felt valued, value is the word. Or you say, no, I felt frustrated, I felt demotivated, whatever that is for you. Think about the difficult boss and write down some of the feelings and emotions. How did this person make you feel? Yeah. And the last part of that, same as before, think about the extra mile that you were willing or you are willing to give when you are working with this person. Is that a 1, hardly motivated at all? This is what the company is paying me, a month salary. This is what I am delivering, a month's work. If this is 9 to 5 for me as office hours, that is 9 to 5 for me on the dot. And there is nothing more, nothing less that I will do. Or is that on the other side about me being highly motivated, that I just want to do more? Because I just feel whatever it is, I just feel motivated. I just feel super empowered working with this difficult boss. So you have your extra mile between 1 to 10. Yeah, cool. And now that brings us to this part of the slide. And I just want to invite all of us, for those of you who just want to annotate on the slide here, feel free. Otherwise, I can just put some of your scores here and we are going to take it further from here. So let's focus on, let me get that annotate first. Yeah. Okay, let us just focus on the great boss. Can I hear some of your scores, the sum of scores that you have given to your great boss, something between 6 and 30. Just shout out 24 years, Dariana, thank you. Yeah, for those of you, 23, yeah. For those of the others, just either annotate your scores here or just call out.
27.
27, yeah, thank you. Anyone below 23? 27. Evia, thank you. Yeah. Is there anyone who is below 27? No, 23. Anyone above 27? Emma, 29. Awesome. Yeah. Is there anyone higher than 29? Did anyone give 30 when you think about the great boss? Yeah. So if that is pretty much the range, we can say that for the great boss, that is between 23 to 29, probably a bit of plus minus here and there. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. How about the feelings and emotions? What are some of the words that you have written down when you were working with this great boss?
Empowered.
Empowered, thank you. Yeah, Dariana, stress, appreciated, challenge, safe. Yeah, and empowered.
Comfortable.
Comfortable, thank you.
Trusted.
Trusted, thank you. Value and respected. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah, Anna, thank you. Value. Yeah. Cool. Passionate. Yes, included. Yeah. Is that easy for us to feel included? Yeah, and that says a lot when you have that feeling that you are included. Yeah, so if you have more, just feel free to add that here. And in terms of the extra mile, I just want to invite you to share that. What are some of the ratings that you have given yourself in terms of going the extra mile working with this great boss? Between 1 to 10. Evia, thank you. 10. Emma, 8. Yes.
9.
9. Thank you. Yeah. Is there anyone who has given something in this range, say between 1 to 3? No? Yeah. Okay. So hopefully it's a fair conclusion that we can say that most of us are within this range, probably between 6 to 10, the extra mile that we want to give to when working with this great boss, so to speak. Now flip to the other side of the difficult boss. What are some of the scores that you have given to this difficult boss? Evia, 7, yes. And that is 7 out of 30.
10.
Yeah, 10. Thank you, Peter. I'm sorry that I can't address each and every one of you because when I do that screen share, I'm only seeing a few faces here. So yeah, please be rest assured that I'm with you. And thank you, MI11. Is there anyone who has given higher than 11 or more than 11 for the difficult boss? Cool. Yeah. So let's put it as this is the range. And how about some of the feelings and emotion words that you have given or you have written down working with this difficult boss?
Demoralized.
Demoralized. Thank you. Nervous and scared,
Insecure.
resentful. Yeah. I heard someone say insecure, if I got that right. Resentful, yes. Yeah.
Rejection.
Thank you, Doris. Rejection.
Demotivated.
Demotivated. Yeah. Worthless and depressive. Yeah, thanks for being open. Yeah. Sorry?
Attacked.
I didn't get that.
Attacked. Hated and attacked.
Do you want to put that, Doris? Did you say that?
Hatred, yes, and attack.
Oh, hatred. Okay.
I think she mentioned attacked.
And attacked.
Yes, physical
Okay.
attack.
Oh, physical attack. Sorry to hear that. Yeah. Yeah. So it could go on and go on. And likewise, of course, the great boss as well. And in terms of extra mile, Can you just, can any one of you just call out in terms of extra mile, what between 1 to 10, what was that every year? Thank you. You put a 0 and I put a 1.
Generous too.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of us put 0. Yeah. Did anyone give higher than 5, for example? No. Yeah. At least the faces that I'm seeing on my screen, some of the heads are shaking. No. Yeah.
Payin, can I add
Yes.
something? I
Yes.
didn't put a number in the end. This is Emma. My discretionary effort was still fairly high, but it was very connected to my other colleagues, not the bosses, not the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It made a difference.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, thank you. So in terms of the experience, if we were to just look at the experience working with the boss, probably the extra mile was not that. The extra mile was really for the team spirit, the teamwork that we wanted to get. Yeah, thank you for doing that. Yeah. Yeah, good. 6, yeah. So the numbers can go on, the scores can add on. I just want you to look at this here. What stands out for you? Yeah, when you look at that great boss, the behaviors, as well as some of the feelings and the extra mile, what does that say?
One extreme to the other.
Yeah, one is very extreme to the other, yes. And if we were to just think and relate it back to the 6 behaviors just now, those are just some of the examples of emotional intelligence behaviors. So when we started, I mentioned about sometimes emotional intelligence being something quite fluffy. There are people who say, no, I really want to work on my emotional intelligence, but what exactly can I do? Yeah, so we can relate that back to some of the very actionable behaviors, because these behaviors, those that you have used to access your bosses, the great and the difficult bosses, these are some of the emotional intelligence behaviors that we can all work on. Because I just want to flip to the next slide. Okay, let me.
Can I say something, Faye?
Yes, please.
Yeah, for me, having had a great boss in early career and based on, mobile life and all that, and then experienced an extremely, difficult boss, regardless, like I connected with what the last person contributed. If not for the team spirit, the teams would jeer me on. They knew that I provided the leadership they needed. But for reasons best known to the boss, she was always picking on me, to physical and verbal attacks and all that, even having to refer to my age. So, but when I had to sift through it, it rather brought back, my real passion. It spurred me on to, like, I learned how not to treat fellow colleagues. I learned how I won't treat my staff. And then it motivated me to go and build a business that is 10 times, 20 times better than what, I experienced at that last place. So for me, it was like a springboard to gear me back to my initial goals, aspirations in life, and I had to follow through.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that, Doris. If I may just ask you, how long ago was your experience working with this very difficult boss?
Yeah, I left the place in March.
In March.
Lockdown, yeah, and I served for 2 years.
Yeah, yeah. So for some of us, so for Doris a few months ago, for some of us, I do not know, your experience with your difficult boss, is there anyone who has this experience from probably 5-10 years ago? I myself have, yeah. Yeah.
No.
And this is what I like to bring us to next. Let me get that to the slide.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Many of us might have heard about this, might have seen this, might have experienced this. People may forget what we say, they may forget what we did, but it is very difficult for us and others to forget how we make each other feel. And so that that experience with our great boss, it could be 20 years ago for some of us, that experience with our difficult boss, it could also be 20 years ago. But when we think about it, that brings out still a lot of emotions in us, because there is a memory, there is an emotion, and there is a little bit of neuroscience that we are going to get into as well, as we talk about emotional intelligence. So it is really about how leaders, or how we as individuals, how we show up and how we make people feel. I do not want to say for sure, for absolute sure, 100% sure that all of us has experienced that, but I guess it is safe for me to say that many of us experience that. Sometimes when we get into a meeting room and when someone comes in, we just feel that that person has sucked up all the oxygen in the room. Yeah. And how does that happen? And sometimes when someone walks into a meeting room, we just feel that that person has taken in so much of positivity. And a 3-hour meeting, it goes like, oh, I didn't realize it's 3 hours. But sometimes when you get into a meeting room where you just feel suffocated because someone is there and you say, gosh, it's 15 minutes, I have to be here for another 2 hours. So it is all about those feelings. And it is about how we show up and how people feel, how people show up, how people around us show up. So emotional intelligence, I think by now, it is not surprising for us to make this statement and say how people, how managers and peers, how they make us feel. It does have an impact on engagement, performance, and productivity as a team. Yeah, Emma and Doris mentioned about you give that extra mile because you wanted to do that for the team. So it is about that team that gives you that feeling and that emotion that makes you feel engaged and you want to contribute to that performance and productivity. I hope it is fair for us to say that. So it is again about that feelings and emotions, whether it is coming from the managers or it's from the peers or others. So there is a direct impact as well. Multiple business cases, I'm not going to show that here. If you were to Google that, you will see plenty of that. And so I decided not to put some of the researchers here. Multiple business cases demonstrate the link between EI performance, engagement, employees retention, which is important, as well as productivity. So let's get into that. Very quick go through. And of course, we know that in the age of automation and AI, EI is set to become a must-have skill. And I think there is one thing that I would like to mention here. For some of you who constantly refer to World Economic Forum for the report of the future skill set that they publish for the future workplace, what are the future skills that are required? Since 2015, the report that was published in 2015, World Economic Forum has identified emotional intelligence as one of the top 10 future skills in workplace. And I think it makes a lot of sense if we were to think about automation and AI, the world that we are getting into. And it's a question that I ask myself as well and friends around me. Given the fact that robots can do many things that we can do, they can do it faster, they can do it more accurately, they can do it in many ways better than us, they have bigger loads and so on. Tell me, I ask myself, tell me, Pei-Yin, why do I want to employ you? Why do I want to hire you instead of getting a robot who can do that faster and everything else? And I guess the only answer, probably one of the very few answers that I have for myself is emotional intelligence. I know robots now, they are designed to be able to read emotions, but I personally still think that is a different level how a robot senses emotions, how they feel and respond to emotions compared to us human beings. And I think that is the differentiation that we have going forward. Yeah. And emotional intelligence as a skill set is not something that is just for just effective in workplace. It is also something that is essential in life. Think about friends around us. They are friends whom sometimes after getting out once, twice, after we hang out together once and twice, I just don't feel like going with that group anymore. Yeah. Where does that feeling come from? It is again about that feeling and that emotions that are generated when we are being together. Whether it is that group of people who give that positivity, giving us a lot of energy that I just want to be there, or whether it is that group of people who somehow I feel that no, all the oxygen has been sucked up and I just do not want to be there. So emotional intelligence is useful in our relationship, well-being, and of course in all different relationships, I would say. And I think we have a lot of individual experiences on that part as well. And this is a model I would like to introduce you. And this is a model from Janos. If you can see that on the left bottom corner, there is a little word of Janos there. So this is how Janos defined emotional intelligence competencies. If you were to relate it back to the 6 behaviors that we walked through, the 6 behaviors that you use to rate your great boss and difficult boss, the first behavior falls into self-awareness, whether that person is aware of his or her emotions or moods or not. So that is self-awareness. Makes others feel appreciated. That is about awareness of others. Am I aware of the climate changing in people around me? Authenticity is the third one. We talk a lot about being an authentic leader, being an authentic individual even, not even at a workplace as an individual. So the third competency is about authenticity. The fourth competency is emotional reasoning. That is where we use the example of making ethical decisions. So emotional reasoning, it is about when we make a decision, do we just look at the hard data and say, these are what the numbers are telling me, I am going to make a decision and this is what I am going to do. I'm going to lay off 10% of people. Or do we also take into consideration the emotional data and say, if I were to do that, I think the impact on these people will be this. And therefore taking into consideration both the emotional data and the technical data part of it, I make a different decision. Yeah, so that is about emotional reasoning. That means we also take into consideration the emotional part of it while making a decision. The fifth part of that probably is also something that we hear a lot as well. That is about self-management. That is about if I am aware that my emotions are changing, I want to manage that. So emotional intelligence, as we say, is about if I'm aware of that, I want to use that intelligently. Even if I want to lose my temper, is it the right place? Is this the right time? Will I get that right outcome? Self-management here does not mean that I need to be zen all the time. Yeah, it's really not about that. It's really not about just controlling that. I said, I can never lose that. No, it's not about that. It is about making a conscious decision. Does that help me? Is that the most effective way for me to use that emotions in that moment? And the sixth competency is inspiring performance. That is about creating the positive work environment. Yeah. So these are the 6 competencies. Let me get that annotate again. Cool. Yeah. So these are the 6 competencies that we have. And on the right side here, you see these are the productive states. So what this means is if you have that self-awareness, if you have that level of self-awareness, you are being present. Makes sense to you? When you are present, you are more connected. When you are more connected, you know what is changing. That is in yourself. You are being present. If you have that awareness of others, you are perceived as an empathetic person. You know the climate is changing in people around you and you calibrate, you make some changes around that. If you demonstrate authenticity, genuine, makes sense. Emotional reasoning, is about making more expensive. That means I am not seeing this decision as the only decision, but I think about various situations. I think about the emotional part of it, and therefore I make a different decision and more expensive because I'm taking more aspects into consideration. Self-management, resilient, not surprising, especially during this very challenging time. We hear that word a lot. Inspiring performance is about empowering, when you help to create that positive work environment. And of course, on the other side of that is about unproductive state. When we do not have that required self-awareness, we are disconnected. I do not even know that I have lost my temper. Probably, if you can imagine, there are different levels of self-awareness. There are people who lost it and they say, I shouldn't have done that. There are people who have lost it and people around them notice it, but they say, oh, did I? I didn't even realize it. Yeah. So there are different levels of self-awareness, and there are people who are aware of this even before it comes and before it rises. If we do not have that awareness of others perceived as insensitive, if we do not have that authenticity, not trustworthy, emotional reasoning, if we do not do that, we are making limited decisions. Self-management, if we do not have that, temperamental, and inspiring performance, if we do not have that, indifferent. So when we look at this side of it, of course, ideally, it is as much as possible for us that we want to stay in these productive states, but also recognizing the fact that we are all human beings. As much as we want to do that, we have to accept the fact that there are times that we get into this part of unproductive states. The question and the challenge is about, if I am aware that I am getting into this, do I want to remain in this zone, or do I want to find ways to get back here? There are people who are happy to just be here. I just want to allow myself a 24 hours in this zone so that all my frustrations and whatever can go with the air, and therefore I allow myself here. There are people who say, no, enough is enough. I just want to get back here. Yeah. So it is about recognizing the fact that as human beings, we have our moments that we fall into the unproductive state. And it is also our decision whether we want to bounce back to that productive state or not. And there are ways for us to do that. Cool. Yeah. And we still have some time. So I now, again, since I mentioned to you earlier that I only require a pen and a paper, and let's make use of that pen and paper that you have with you now. And we are going to try a 24-hour feelings activity. And if you can just relate this, the 24-hour feelings activity is about you, your own feeling in the past 24 hours. And this is a small self-awareness exercise, just to see how aware we are with our feelings. If we say, no, am I a person who knows my feelings and my emotions? So I'm going to give you 60 seconds. What I invite you to do is try to recall all the feelings, or as many feelings as you can recall, that you have experienced over the past 24 hours. Either write that down on a piece of paper, or whatever way that you want to have that list. Yeah. Just 60 seconds. I'm going to give you some quiet moments to write down the feelings that you have experienced over the past 24 hours. Cool. So just count, just add up how many you have recorded. Just count how many feelings or emotions that you managed to recall that has happened in the past 24 hours, given the 60 seconds. Yeah. And look at the list of emotions that you have written down. If you think that is a pleasant emotion, you put a tick next to that. If it is an unpleasant emotions, you put a cross next to that. And I just want you to take a look and say, no, how many pleasant emotions you have got and how many unpleasant? Who has got more pleasant than unpleasant? Yeah. Show of hands, who has got more pleasant than unpleasant? Carlos, say 1 to 2. Yeah. More pleasant to unpleasant. Yeah. Cool. Okay, good. Let us move into the next one. And sorry, I just missed one chat. Okay, I missed quite a lot, not one, sorry. Cool. What I'm going to do now, I know this could be a challenge for those of you, but try to see if you can enlarge that on your screen. I'm going to show you a feelings word list. So if you can just enlarge it in whichever way. And again, I'm going to give you 60 seconds. You will try to pick up as many emotions as possible that you have experienced in the past 24 hours, which you did not pick up in the first round, just by recalling them. Sorry, I know this is small, and do your best, yeah? No worries about that.
Sorry, feelings that we did not experience?
Feelings that you experienced, but you did not pick up in your first 60 seconds. Thank you, Dariana. Yeah. So now when you look at this, you say, oh yeah, there was a moment that I felt whatever. I felt enraged. I felt excited. I felt fatigued. Yeah. 20 seconds. Cool. Okay, let me stop share that so that I can see more faces. Yeah. So your first 60 seconds, just recalling the emotions, and the second 60 seconds in the second activity, what you did was to look at the feeling list. Can I see a raise of hands? Who has got more feelings that you were able to pick up by looking at the feeling list? Yeah, yeah. So at least for those whom I can see, yeah, Barbara as well, friends, yeah. So for probably half of us, we picked up more emotions by looking at that list. And so what it says is, it may appear that we are less aware of the emotions, or sometimes it is just not our habit to really pick up the emotions and to think about it and just to pause very frequently and say, what is that emotions that I'm feeling now? So we might pick up more when we look at the feeling list and say, oh yeah, now I recall, I was also feeling this, I was also feeling this, I was also feeling this. So fundamentally, if we are able to just connect with ourselves and just to be present, be more connected with ourselves more frequently, we are in a better position to have that better self-awareness, because that is when I notice that my emotions are changing. Before that becomes a volcano, I can make a decision what I want to do about it, as I can sense it is coming. So that is a part of self-awareness. And also the reason why we have invited you to look at the pleasant and the unpleasant emotions is for us to get a sense of, for those of you who say you have got more pleasant emotions than the unpleasant ones, what do you think about your productivity in the past 24 hours? When you had more pleasant emotions, what do you think about your productivity? Laura?
Yeah, I think it's
Unmuting
much
yourself
better.
aside to share. Yeah, much better. In which way? Highly productive, Helen mentioned. Yeah.
It's just kind of in the, I don't know, I tend to find like when I've got more pleasant emotions, instead of just completing my work, I'm completing it faster. So I'm actually much more productive. You feel like, okay, and then this, okay, and then this, okay, and then this. And before you know it, you're done 2 hours early.
Yeah, thank you. So there is also a part about productivity. Probably we are just more resourceful. We are just, our thoughts are just more broadened, and we are just more resourceful to get things done. So that comes quite natural, because when we have that pleasant emotions, we are in that more productive state. Yeah, cool, thank you. Anyone else? How about some of the other days, probably some of the days where we felt, I just have not been feeling good today. And if I were to just relate to that kind of unpleasant emotions, how would that day be for any one of us who might have experienced that?
It would typically be a drag. Sorry. There is here. For such days, with pleasant emotion, it's a drag and you're feeling out of place and not going for like core activity, core productive activity. You rather choose to go for general things and just grapple your way through.
Yeah, thank you. So
No
it
energy,
is just,
right?
no energy. It is just out of a place. And the more we are into that, the more we delve into that. And sometimes it is quite a challenge for us to just get out of that, to return to that productive. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Thank you. And how about, there is one, CB Husbands, that name, that is how you have named yourself. Sorry, that is how I have addressed you. Yeah, is there anything that you would like to share?
I think there's a well-founded psychological principle called relaxed concentration or flow state. And I think when my experience and also my observation is when you are in that zone, it's characterized by positive emotions, and when you're not, even tasks which feel like routine or simple can become more difficult, and sometimes it's even difficult to interpret information accurately. So the other day, for example, I was asked to do something by someone who I work with a lot, and it was what she was asking me to do was actually very easy, but because I wasn't in a good place, I had some anxiety about something else, I misread what she'd asked me to do and consequently stressed about it for some time before reading it again and actually realizing that what she was asking me to do was something that A, I've done before, and B, wasn't difficult.
Yeah, yeah. So sometimes also because of that emotions, the unpleasant emotions, when we have that, it actually makes our thoughts very limited. And as what you have just shared here, whatever, even those things that I have been doing before, probably I would just miss it, or I just did it differently or wrongly in one way or another. So if that is the case, that also tells us that our emotions have got a big impact on, I'm going to share this, on our decisions, of course. There are moments when our emotions are less pleasant. We might end up doing a lot of shopping, impulsive shopping, and that is a decision, or maybe unconscious decision, and we might do that. So, and the next day when we get up, we say, gosh, I can't believe it. This is what I did last evening after having a very difficult meeting with my bosses, for example. So it has an impact on our decisions. It has an impact on our behaviors as well as our performance. I think this we experience either in workplace or in our personal life as well. Yeah, let me get into this part. So as far as signs of emotions is concerned, when we have that pleasant emotions, we have heard from your sharing and your chats as well. Unfortunately, in the interest of time, I can't read that and share that with everybody. The pleasant feelings, we have that broaden and we want to build. And in other words, i.e., when we have that pleasant feelings, we are just in more resourceful state that we can feel and we can experience for ourselves. So even when that same incident happened, if I am having that pleasant feelings, the first moment, my first reaction would be, I think there is a way out. Yeah, that is when that incident happened and when I have that pleasant feelings. But when that incident happens, and if I have unpleasant feelings, I might just get into that very narrow and limited path. And I say, probably one of my first response is to blame and say, why did that person make such a mistake? And I have to clear up the mess. Yeah. So that tells us the difference between pleasant feelings and unpleasant feelings in terms of the coming from the neuroscience part of it. And of course, it's also not surprising for us as well when we have unpleasant emotions. Our behaviors, these are the behaviors we will blame. We are focusing on the problem. We are being more reactive. We are making assumptions. And of course, when we are having that pleasant emotions, our behaviors are totally different. Yeah, these are our behaviors. And these are the behaviors that people can see, which is why it brings us back to where we started. And we say emotional intelligence is about how we show up, how other people show up, and how by showing up, how we make people feel or how people make us feel. So it all starts with self-awareness, and you did a small activity to just understand for yourself, how is my self-awareness? Because if I am aware of how my emotions are changing, I am in better position to manage that and to use that effectively. Yeah. So putting all that together, emotional intelligence is a set of skills that help us act intelligently with our emotions, enhancing our decisions, behaviors, and performance. And because emotional intelligence is something that can be developed, it's a set of skill set that can be developed. So they are very specific, actionable behaviors that we can work on. If we say, no, I really want to work on my EI, what are the things that I can do? So as an example, those are the 6 behaviors. And the Genos model, EI model that I introduced to you a while ago with the 6 competencies, they are 7 behaviors in each competency. So that brings us to 42 very actionable behaviors that we can work on if we say we want to work on our EI. Yeah. And that pretty much brings us to the end of our session today. And I just would also like to introduce this to you. For those of you who might be interested to take your emotional intelligence journey further in one way or another, we will be doing Genos Emotional Intelligence Certification programs, one in January and one in March 2021. And there will also be a series of Leading with Emotional Intelligence virtual webinar sessions. And in the Leading with EI session, this is where in every module, we are going to dive deeper into one competency. So there will be 6 virtual webinars, and the focus is on one of the 6 competencies. Those are the things that we are doing. And by becoming a certified practitioner for Genos Emotional Intelligence, that also allows you to have access to Genos University portal, which is a lifelong learning platform. Personally, I like that a lot because once you get certified, you have lifelong access to the portal without additional charges. And there is a lot that we can pick up from there as well. So it's really not just about helping others to enhance their emotional intelligence for those of you who are working with your clients. It is also about upskilling ourselves and just be more aware of what is coming out in that space of emotional intelligence. Cool. Now, with that, I'm going to stop sharing this and questions, thoughts, and your sharing. Cool. Thank you. Questions? No? All good? Doris?
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a great session. I came here to learn and I learned from you, Payne. Yeah, but I would like you to kind of rehearse with us. How do I convince my boss on how taking this course or certification brings an ROI, that's generate ROI for the company? Thank you.
Yeah. For those of you who are interested to just do this on your own with your company or with your team, do that emotional intelligence experience exercise, to be honest. Do that during a lunch and learn session, whatever that will be. And at the end of that, just invite everybody to think about, if we were to do the exercise now with people who are reporting to you, what do you think they are saying about you? Yeah, we then see a different perspective, and let's just be open about that. It could be that I am seeing my great boss this way. This is how I think the person has made me feel, my difficult boss. But how about people? How are they seeing me? How do I make them feel? Hopefully that is a good door opener for you, Doris. Yeah. And that is about making an ethical decision as well. It's uncomfortable, but making that right decision to want to take this further. Cool. Last words from anyone? All good? Cool. So thanks again for joining us. For those of you who may like to have information on any of the programs or to know more about EI, feel free to reach out to Transcend, and Maya has just given us the email address there. So have a good weekend, stay healthy, and hopefully situation becomes good and normal for all of us in many, many ways. And see you around. Thank you.